Well, last time Joey visited the doctor, had his test in Pittsburgh, and now we're heading home. 14 is called The Patch. A week later, Mom and I and Special Ed were sitting in his office with the doctor. The results are very promising, the doctor said, and he smiled. They don't tell us anything except that Joey's head is filled with lots of good brains. I felt so happy I spoke out of turn. Told you so, I said to Mom. She held up a finger over her puckered lips and gave me a serious look. The doctor just kept going on. Your problems are not neurologically severe, so it seems the next step is finding the right medication and the right dosage. Presently, I would like to try a transdermal patch. It's kind of like a big round Band-Aid. When he said Band-Aid, my ears perked up. That stays on for a day at a time and gives you a steady stream of medication through the skin so that you will avoid the highs and lows you now experience with pills. The goal is to give you a fighting chance to maintain a normal attention span. Once you can do that, then other behavior therapies and positive family conditions can make a significant difference. As soon as the doctor said family conditions, Mom bit down on her lower lip and uncrossed her legs, pulled down on her skirt and crossed them the other way. I reached over and squeezed her hand because I knew how it felt to be in trouble. The doctor and my mom talked for a while and he gave her some papers to sign. Then he reached into his case and took out a box. He removed a paper packet from the box, ripped open the edge, and shook out the see-through patch. The first thing I thought was to use markers to make it look like a cool tattoo. Joey, he said, take your shirt off. I stood and pulled up my t-shirt over my belly, and before I had it over my head, I heard my mom gasp. I had taken all the Band-Aids I still had and made the face of a dog on my stomach. Don't worry, the doctor said to Mom, it's normal. There's not a kid alive who doesn't like Band-Aids. I want a chihuahua, I said, and grinned at Special Ed. He was doing exactly what I thought he'd be doing, which meant my brain was working right. He was trying not to laugh. Last time he was so mad, but now everything was different. Instead of being sick, I was just being a kid. Now that I was getting better, people could like me more. We'll try to find one today, Mom said, and she looked down at her feet because she still was a little embarrassed. I'm going to put this right on your side, the doctor said, and he stuck it on and smoothed it down. Now, leave it on for 24 hours. If you have to take a shower, peel it off, but then put it back on. That's it for now. He looked up at me and smiled. You'll be okay. You're going to be part of a big test for a new drug that's already worked well for a lot of kids. But let your mom know if you feel dizzy or sick to your stomach, or we'll try something else. It's important to get it just right, and you are the guy to let us know. We count on you. I grinned again and turned to Special Ed. If you see me swallowing my house key, you know it's not working, I said. I'll make a note of that, he replied and laughed a little bit. The doctor stood up and held out his hand. Very nice to meet you, Mrs. Pigza. Likewise, Mom replied, and she smiled at him in a way that made me think she really did like him. Maybe she's wearing a patch too, I thought, because I hadn't seen Mom look nice at a man ever. Then Special Ed said, if I can answer any questions or be of any help, please let me know. That's very thoughtful of you, she said. I mean it, he replied and reached for his wallet. He opened it and pulled out a business card and gave it to her. We all want the best for Joey. Call me if you need me. She unzipped her purse and slipped the card into an inside pocket. When her hand came back out, there was a tissue in it. She turned away from us and pressed it against her eyes. With her other hand, she reached for me as if she were searching for something in the dark. Why do you think she's crying? Do you think maybe it's because she's so overwhelmed that everyone wants to help and maybe the help is working? Special Ed opened the door. I'll see you tomorrow, he said to me. We still have a few weeks left to work on behavior and homework. You bet, I said. On the way to the elevator, I asked her if she wanted to date the doctor or Special Ed. No, she said, and brushed the idea out of the air with her tissue. Lord, no, you are all the man I can handle, she said. I just like people who like you. She drew me to her side, and I pressed my face against her hip and stayed that way until the elevator opened. Those elevator doors open and close about 1,000,000 times a day, but when we reached the lobby and they opened for me, I felt they had let me into something new. I just stood there thinking that I was finally going down the right path of being better, that getting better was really happening to me. that it was my turn for everyone to help, and there was no turning back to my old self unless I messed up. And I didn't want to mess up. "Come on, Joey," Mom said, and tugged at my arm because the elevator doors began to close. I snapped out of it and stood between the doors and held them open with my arms stretched out like Samson. She ducked under my arm and through, and I jumped out right behind her. "I love elevators," I said to Mom as we walked toward the bus stop. "They make me seasick," she said. And I remembered. Maybe it was the patchworking, or maybe it was what special ed had said. He had told me that all my problems were not because I was hyper. "Some of it is attitude," he said. "If you have a positive attitude, things will look a lot better." And he was right. Because even though I was still Joey Pigza and taking meds and going to a special school for extra help, I didn't feel the same. I felt like Christmas was just a few days away, even though it wasn't. As we walked down the street, Mom held up the box of patches that the doctor had given her. "These are not Band-Aids," she said, tapping the box with her fingernail. "I know the difference," I said. "I'm not an idiot. They took pictures of my brain, and I wasn't missing any." "Thank God for that," Mom said, and started fussing with my hair around my bald spot, and I tried to pull her hand away. "It'll grow back," I said. "Don't keep messing with it, or I'll put a patch on you." "Well, don't pull out your hair, and I won't have to mess with it," she said. From there, we took the bus to a pet store, and I had a huge grin on my face because I was right about my Christmas coming early feeling. I was smiling up until the moment I found out they didn't have a Chihuahua, and were not likely to get one ever. The pet lady looked at me like I was the only person on the planet who thought a Chihuahua was not a rat. "They are very nervous," she explained, "and they make a yapping noise all day long." "That's exactly why I want it," I replied. She groaned and suggested I buy a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull or some huge dog that looked like the wolf that ate the grandma in Little Red Riding Hood. I only considered the wolf for a moment because I thought if Grandma returned, he could swallow her whole. "That's only a story," the pet lady said when I asked if Grandma could be swallowed by a wolf dog. "Be nice," Mom whispered to me when the salesperson turned to answer a question from someone else. "Grandma took care of you when I couldn't." I knew that having Grandma swallowed alive wasn't a nice thought, and I was trying to be nice like special ed and Mom and everyone told me to be. Of course I still love my grandma, even after all the awful stuff she had done to me. Which is scary that you can love someone who's not nice. I guess that is what getting better will do to a person. Make you forgive people who are being mean to you. So we didn't buy any of the dogs, and I left really bummed out. But every day while I was still at the downtown special ed center, we kept checking in the Thrifty Nickel free newspaper. And finally there was an ad for a Chihuahua. For half Chihuahua, half Dachshund. Those are the little hot dog dogs. We called the number, and the man brought him over to the house in a shoebox, and he was perfect. The dog was great because the Chihuahua half supplied most all the good looks, except for the really short legs and hot dog belly, and the Dachshund half made him a little less jittery, even though he did yap a lot. I named him... What do you think he named him? Well, I won't stop here. I named him Pablo. Pablo Pigza. We were destined for each other because right away he decided to sit on the windowsill and wait for me every day and would yap at everyone who went by. Mom said the yapping drives her nuts, and that's why she has to turn the TV up really loud, and she suggested that I take one of my used patches and cut a piece off and stick it to Pablo's belly to see if he would calm down. "I don't think so," I said to her. "Then snap a rubber band around his snout. That thing is like you used to be." "You loved me then." "But I don't have to love that dog," she replied. I picked Pablo up by his extra long belly and held him to her ear, and he licked her and tickled her. "Say you love him," I said. "Say it." Nobody can resist Pablo. He's just like me, messed up but lovable. She caved. "Okay, I love him too." "Don't say it unless you mean it," I said, and pressed Pablo's nose back into her ear. "I love him," she squealed, and pulled her head away. "I can't live without him." "That's better," I said. "Pablo and I feel much better now." "Aw, Pablo."